Anyone who has been in a romantic relationship for a measurable amount of time knows that the kinds of conversations that you have with your partner largely revolve around what's for dinner, weekend plans, and what time that important thing is scheduled for. My wife and I do that, of course, but we found that a lot of our most interesting conversations comes from sharing stories, reading to each other, and weighing the pros and cons of various hypothetical situations, like if you would still love me if I was a worm. I've curated a few stories and topics of conversation for my wife and I'd love to share them with you in the hopes that maybe we can bring an interesting conversation into your living room. Some of these are actual stories from people's lives, and some of them are just silly, would you rather do X or Y type situations for us to discuss. I'm Logan, and this is Nadia,
Hello.
and we're going to begin with a story about relationships. Based on the title, it seems like a doozy. Trigger warning for gore and sexual content. I caught my boyfriend masturbating to gore, and I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to say any of this. I, 26 female, just found out that my boyfriend, 28 male, the person I've loved for over 5 years, has been masturbating to gore videos. I caught him red-handed, and I can't stop replaying it in my head. This is the man who has been so sweet and gentle, unlike anyone I've ever met before. Like genuinely kind to his core. He won't even kill spiders, he just traps them in a cup and puts them back outside. He's sweet, caring, patient, and soft spoken. Literally has never even raised his voice to me or made me feel unsafe in any kind of way. And yesterday, I walked into our office really late at night, and at first I thought he was just gaming or watching porn, and I didn't even care. I figured, whatever, it happens. But it wasn't porn. It was gore. The most disgusting, graphic videos of real people being hurt in the most brutal ways, and he was masturbating to it. I didn't say anything because what am I supposed to say or do in that situation? I just turned around and walked straight into the bathroom and cried until I felt like I was going to throw up. I wish I could unsee it. I could still picture the screen, the sounds he was making, and him sitting there like it was completely normal to be doing what he was doing. I don't think I've ever felt so sick in my life. And I thought I knew him, and now I don't even want to be in the same room as him. I don't feel safe around him, and I don't know if that's rational or not. I can't touch him. I can barely speak to him. I can't even look him in the eyes without feeling this sense of dread and disgust. Now my mind keeps spiraling like, what if this escalates? What if there's something seriously wrong with him? I mean, this isn't normal. This is sick. He is sick. I'm sitting here crying while typing this because I don't know what to do or who to talk to. I feel completely alone in this. I can't tell my friends or family because it feels too heavy, too gross, and grotesque to even say out loud. I'm scared they'll look at me differently or think I'm exaggerating. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to pack my things and never come back, but I'm in shock and I just can't throw away 5 years of my life, of the life me and him built together. I can't stop crying. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I just needed to get this out somewhere because I feel like I'm losing my mind. Edit, I forgot to specify, but he didn't notice that I walked in on him since he was wearing headphones and was being very engrossed in what was happening on screen. Now that I've seen a handful of people ask, yes, he was 100% watching gore. Not porn and not hardcore BDSM stuff. This was straight up gore, such as people being severely injured and or killed. No doubt about it. So,
Uh,
I don't think there are many things that you could do that I would just immediately break up with you for. Like pretty much everything that you could do that would be bad within reason at least warrants a discussion.
mhm.
You cheat on me, which is considered by many to be like one of the most horrific things that you can
Yeah.
do to a partner. Even if you cheated on me, I would still be like, "Hey, why? What's going
Yeah.
on?"
Yeah.
But I don't know. I something like this, when you catch them in the act, I don't really know that there's any coming back from that.
No, I'm and she feels like she's like people are going to say she's downplaying it. Let's take the subject matter of what is going on, what he's doing, that all out of it. If your partner in any way lets some sort of mask slip, if they act in a way that's not what you know to be of them, it can definitely rattle your trust in them. It can make you feel very insecure just because when what you think is reality is called into question, it immediately and understandably elicits like a lot of feelings of what the hell. So I think that like she shouldn't be talking about how people might think she's overreacting or any of that because she knows him to be a very gentle and kind person, and this is a 180-degree difference from that, getting
Yeah.
sexual pleasure from people being harmed, realistically harmed. It's not for show, it's not for a kink. It's getting, it doesn't seem like the videos he's watching are for that purpose. They are like snuff films, it kind of
Yeah, that's
sounds
what it
like.
sounds like. He's just watching straight up gore. He's not watching like gore porn where
Yeah.
people are naked and doing sex acts
Yeah.
while, committing violence. It's just straight up.
Based on the terms of our relationship, some of our foundational stuff, I mean, catching one of us doing this and it being normal content would
Yeah, that would be
potentially be, a trust
very
breaking,
problematic.
yeah, like something we would have to discuss, and there would probably need to be rebuilding of trust and all of that stuff, just again based on our personal rules in our own relationship, not saying it for anybody else, but
Of course.
yeah. So I kind of said before you started the story that this might touch on something, and it does. It wasn't, I didn't catch somebody self pleasuring to that kind of content, but my high school boyfriend and then into my early 20s, um, I think anybody that's listening that is millennial, maybe Gen X, more so than anybody younger, might understand this a little bit more, that like, yes, we have a ton of internet access now, everything is on the internet, but it's not quite as wild west as it was when
Yeah,
you
in
or
the
I were
early
teenagers.
2000s, early to mid 2000s, there was a lot of unregulated internet that teens and the youth had access to.
The internet
Rotten.com.
took yeah, rotten, like the internet took us all to some pretty dark places pretty young, way too young. Even the more innocent sites that were mostly flash games and stuff like Newgrounds, they had a lot of sexual content on there that
Sure.
kids easily could access. Cartoon underage characters, you could take their clothes off, that kind of stuff. But even more so than that, like, you know, you show a goatsy still or a man with jar still to anybody of our age group, and we all have a, oh my god, visceral reaction.
Yeah.
Whereas like I just feel like there isn't as much of that.
Two guys' feet standing over a jar on the ground.
Yeah, like there isn't as much of like those, like, and I'm happy for it. Like I feel like younger people, they have their touchstone, internet touchstones, but it isn't graphically violent sexual stuff that you like. Mr. Hands, like watching a man die with bestiality, whole websites dedicated to teaching people how to engage in that kind of stuff. Like there was a level
The
of,
kind of stuff that you only find on the dark net now.
yes, exactly. Like I feel like there was a period where it just was really accessible and super in your face, and there was no content warnings and there was no paywalls. There was nothing to
Yeah.
prevent you from,
There were no ads.
no, there was nothing to stop you from, people make jokes about the little 18, like it asks if you're 18 years older, but you can just lie about your birth date. Like there were whole websites where you could find the most appalling things human beings are
It didn't
capable
ask
of,
your
and it
age.
didn't ask for anything. It was on the front page. You didn't even have to
Yeah.
scroll on the website to find it. And I'm happy that it doesn't seem like things are like that anymore. And it has nothing to do with parental controls. It has to do with like the internet now being more of a regulated resource, which some people think is bad, but compared to what it was, I don't think that it's bad. I don't think teenagers and young adults should be exposed to that. But that's a really long roundabout way of me to say that, like, when my ex and me were in our early adult years, late teens, early 20s, at some point he confessed to me to seeing like something that I think is one of the most grotesque things that I never saw it, but just his description of it. And I was like, why were you looking at that? Like, I understand that you know, millennials have very dark senses of humor
Morbid curiosity.
because of that generation of like the unruly internet days. And a lot of people that were habitual porn users are incredibly desensitized to a lot of that stuff, and they would seek out more extreme things. But he said he just looked at it, so this wasn't me catching him doing anything. He told me that he saw a hilarious photo, and again, content warning, trigger warning. If you've made it this far into this story, this probably be okay, but like, just a heads up, this is going to be pretty gross. It's been 20 years, I'm still affected by it, but that it was the dismembered body of a woman. It was just her lower half remaining, and it was just a photo of a man who had inserted his genitals into her, so that the top of his genitals were sticking out of the viscera
Out
where
of
her
the
stomach
top of
would
her,
be.
yeah.
And you could see his member and then just her lower half. And
She was cut
he
off at the
thought this
waist.
was comedy. He thought it was funny. He laughed at this description of this photo he had seen, and I'll tell you, it changed my opinion of him.
How do you even have a boner for that?
I don't. I was so, out of everything that I had seen on the internet, way too young, you know, all of that stuff. Just his description of that picture, and then the fact that his reaction to it was that it was
Comical.
comical, like it shattered a lot of illusions about him for me. It made me very like, what kind of person would look at that and feel anything other than abject horror and disgust and revulsion, because just the idea that somebody out there did that to a corpse, whether it was a found body or this person had murdered this other person, for you to look at that and then laugh. I really, we did not continue even being friends for much longer after that point. But it definitely changed my opinion of him. And I 100% can understand why seeing somebody pleasuring themselves to horrific acts is no, like, the same thing. Deriving sexual pleasure or laughing at a photo, that's another type of pleasure, is like, what is the kind of person I'm dealing with? How are they this desensitized to human beings that they could find anything other than negative reactions in this footage? So I 100% understand why she feels unsafe. I don't think she's blowing it out of proportion. Even if he has, like you said, like, he doesn't have impulses to do any of this stuff, she can't trust that
Sure.
because of
You
what.
can't know.
Yeah, and the floor has been
You can't know that when confronted with this,
Yeah.
he's not going to react with violence.
Even if he doesn't, it's totally valid to not feel comfortable
Safe.
around somebody that feels joy looking at
Yeah.
stuff like that, or a positive emotion.
So her original post did have a few updates edited
Okay.
in. Just a lot of, I'll
Sure.
summarize. She was talking about how she feels alone in this,
Okay.
and she is grateful for being able to vent on Reddit. And she went by her place to get some things. He ruined some of her clothes. He trashed some of her stuff, threw out some of her stuff. She just grabbed some stuff, and she's staying at her brother's house. And then she made a full new update. I caught my boyfriend masturbating to gore, and I don't know what to do. I didn't expect my other post to garner that much attention. It's honestly been a bit overwhelming.
That's what they all say.
Yeah, well, it's pretty gross.
Well, yeah, and I don't think you should post on the internet if you're not expecting them to go viral. Like, if they go
Yeah.
viral, then it's done for, you know?
I want to say thank you to everyone who has reached out with advice and support. I've read so many of your comments and DMs, and I honestly don't know what I would have done without the encouragement and kindness that I received here. I'll update again when things are more stable, but for now, I just want everyone to know that I am safe. Here is the update some of you have been asking for. My now ex boyfriend somehow found out that I was staying with my brother and showed up unannounced late last night. That in itself was terrifying. But I finally confronted him about what I had seen, and he almost immediately broke down. He started crying and saying that he didn't mean for me to see that, and that he didn't know what was wrong with him, and that he's sick, and he just kept repeating, "You need to help me," over and over again.
No,
Yeah, no, you're never responsible for anyone else's mental health.
no. Obviously, he. What is it? As a woman, I don't know if we suffer as badly from the post nut clarity that I've heard men talk about, where you watch something, you orgasm, and then immediately you're like, "What the hell is wrong with me?" This is obviously like the most intense version of that. Where especially if he is a regularly gentle person, the fact that he's devolved into this place for
Yeah.
this particular activity,
And also, screw him for like putting the responsibility on
that's the
her
part. Like, it's
to,
like, okay,
you need to help me. No, dude, you need to help
you
yourself.
need to help yourself. It's not my responsibility, and I don't feel safe around you.
I felt awful. He made me feel responsible for all of
Oh
this,
no.
and I felt guilty for being scared, for leaving, and for not saving him. I don't know what triggered this response, but he went from crying to being downright furious in seconds
Of
and
course.
became very loud and aggressive. He backed me into a corner and slammed his hand against the wall
Oh my
right
god.
next to my head a few times.
Where's her brother?
I was honestly convinced he was going to try to hurt me in that moment. He told me if I didn't come home, he didn't know what he might do, and he insinuated that our cats wouldn't be safe and that he would harm himself. He said if anything happens to him or our cats, I would only have myself to blame.
Oh no.
Thankfully, my brother intervened. The police now know what's going on, and I'm working on getting the help and support that I need. But I still don't have my cats. I have no idea what to do. They're technically his cats since he bought them, so legally I can't do much. All I can do is hope that he hasn't hurt them or himself and just wait. That part is really killing me. I have no idea how to process any of this. I feel like I'm still in shock. Part of me keeps hoping this is just some nightmare I'll wake up from, and if it continues, but it just continues to get worse. I feel so confused and heartbroken. I still want to see the good in him, but I don't know if that person even exists anymore. Did that person even exist in the first place? I love him so much, but he doesn't feel like the man I love anymore. I wanted to marry and start a family with this man, and everything came crashing down because I was afraid. It's confusing, and it hurts in a way I can't fully describe. Small update: he has now sent me multiple pictures to show me that he has indeed harmed himself. I don't even know how many voicemails he has left at this point, but he doesn't sound angry anymore. He's just crying and begging me to come home. I know he's trying to manipulate me, but I feel like a piece of shit right now. As far as I'm aware, the cats are okay. I'll go back home maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow morning to get my stuff, and hopefully he'll allow me to take the cats with me. There is a small update.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, or update, I'm sorry, I didn't expect so many people to remember me or worry. And honestly, it feels weird seeing strangers online care more than some of the people I talk to in real life. I didn't mean to vanish, I just mentally could not handle reading or talking about anything related to this situation for a while. Thank you again for showing support and caring enough to check in. It means a lot to me. A lot has happened since my last update. I didn't end up going back the next day like I said I would. I was terrified. I
That's
kept going
good.
back and forth. Yeah, don't go unless you have backup, for
Like, you
starters.
bring the
Go with your
police, a
brother,
police
your
escort.
cops,
Yeah,
yeah,
like, you need to bring people with you.
your
He's
family. Um, I was convincing myself I was overreacting, then underreacting, then just being dramatic, then not being dramatic enough. So I went back to my house on Thursday and I made sure to go at a time where I knew my ex would be at work. My brother came with me, of course, but he stayed outside to keep an eye out in case my ex came back unexpectedly. As soon as I stepped in the house, I saw that my ex seemed to have destroyed a lot of furniture and a lot of my belongings as well. I don't even care about that anymore. I have no idea how to say this part because I know it's my fault and I could have done something to prevent it if I just hadn't been such a coward. I don't need hundreds of comments telling me I'm a horrible person and that I failed my cats because I know I did and I'm sorry.
No.
Oh man, one of our cats is gone, nowhere to be found. I'm convinced she ran away, maybe escaped through the open window or something. But upstairs, in our bed, my other cat was dead. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say here without breaking any rules, but it was brutal and inhumane. I've never felt that kind of gut wrenching, overwhelming dread and terror in my entire life. I thought he was manipulating me or trying to scare me into coming back when he threatened me and our cats. Having known him for as long as I have, I would have never guessed he would hurt an animal, especially not my sweet girl. I hate myself for being so dumb and naive. I'm doing everything I can to try to find my other cat. I still don't know what to think or feel, and it's like I haven't even fully processed that any of this is real. I'm really sorry that this update probably isn't what you wanted to hear. I feel like my life is falling apart, and there's nothing I can do to stop it from spiraling further and further out of my control. Small update, I have contacted the police multiple times, even before I knew what had happened to my cat, since I feared for my own safety and theirs, and they are completely incompetent. They told me they would check in on my ex Friday, but when I called yesterday, they told me they didn't have anything on my ex in their system. No report, no nothing. I'm beyond frustrated. I told everyone in our circle about what he has done, and while only a few seem to care and actually believe me, the rest, especially his family, seem intent on making me out to be the bad guy in this situation. I'll keep you all updated if anything additional happens. Thank you again for the support and kind comments. Boy, that was a bummer.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
Oh
I didn't know it
no.
was gonna get that dark. Most of these I haven't read. I really just see the title and
Yeah.
save them to read later. But holy,
Obviously, as animal lovers, that
that
pisses us
hurts.
off
Yeah.
really a lot. I mean, I'm happy she's
I mean, we
safe,
are
but
also the kind of people who will, collect a spider in a cup and take them
yeah.
outside. But for him, it was probably all just performative.
Yeah.
Like he has no actual empathy. He had no actual concern for, a, a spider that gets lost in their living room or something. It's just, oh, if I do this in front of her, then she will think I'm a good person.
Yeah.
It's like everything that he did was probably a mask.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, to actually hurt an animal is psychotic behavior.
Oh, that's rough. How about a palate cleanser?
That's it. We're just moving on from that.
I
Oh my gosh, talk about shell
mean, I don't
shock.
I don't even know what else to say. That's
Yeah. Don't
awful.
don't jerk off to
Yeah,
gore,
don't jerk
kids.
off to gore.
Um
Find creative and healthy outlets for your frustrations and habits and hobbies and
I
don't
guess
hurt anyone.
I
Don't
gue-
indulge in content that is hurting somebody.
yeah, I guess like I just thought maybe before we read any of the updates that maybe, again, he's a desensitized dude, but again, like I guess from my own experience that I talked about, it makes sense that you see them differently and something feels very wrong about that and probably for good reason because I don't think that is normal healthy
Hmm.
human behavior to be that desensitized to the plight of
Yeah.
other people. And then as soon as he came out swinging with the manipulation technique, it's like, oh my goodness, like it's not her fault.
Yeah, that's what breaks my heart in that is, I mean, of course that her cat was harmed, but that she is also blaming herself for it, that she called herself a coward. Like, you were afraid to face a man that you believed would and probably could do you harm, and you were scared to go over there. I don't know what circumstances were like with her brother at the time, if he could have gone with her the first time or earlier, or something, but it's not her fault. And it's his fault. It's purely his fault that he killed their cat.
Uh, I I say this quote a lot, and hey, let the anti-feminist crowd come for me if need be. But just the quote of in cis hetero dating, men are scared women will laugh at them or not give them the time of day, I guess, and women have to be scared that men will kill them.
Yeah.
Domestic violence, being killed by your spouse is the number one way women die. That's it's scary to date, to fall in love. This person thought she knew this man of 5 years
Yeah.
before she found this information out. She would have never thought he was capable of this, and that's part of the icky feeling, is how vulnerable you have to make yourself to be in a romantic relationship. And unfortunately, you don't always know if the person you're with is genuine, and you just have to go
Yeah.
with,
She had been vulnerable with this man for 5 years.
yep,
Over that 5 years, probably several times. I think a lot about how,
just living in the same house as another person
yeah.
is being vulnerable. Being Giving them that kind of access to you is vulnerable. And I'm glad that she listened to her gut and didn't, like, because she was going back and forth a lot about, like, oh, I'm overreacting, blah blah blah. But I like that, like, she felt uneasy enough that she just didn't take a chance. She didn't confront him by
Yeah.
herself. She just left because obviously her gut was right in this. I can't imagine the, like, way it would screw with your perception that this person to be so kind and gentle, and then you see what they did to your cat,
Yeah.
and you realize, like, it was all a facade. And so I'm just really glad that she didn't, like, talk herself out of, well, maybe I should just give him a chance to explain himself in
Yeah,
person.
like I said at the beginning, there are some things that you just can't come back from. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no explaining this away. There's no,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, I wish you hadn't seen me do that. It's just so it's hard to explain, but
I totally
I
don't like to harm people and
yeah,
things.
I think a lot about how you speak with men, with hetero men, and you ask them about, like, a bad first date experience, and I'm sure many guys are like, oh, she was,
Made me pay for her dinner,
she
and then she
yeah,
didn't put out
and then
after.
she got drunk and acted crazy and stuff. It was wild. And you ask a woman, a hetero woman, about a crazy first date story, and it's like, I thought he was going to kill me.
I literally one time left a first date and waited till he drove out of the parking lot before I drove home because I didn't want him to see what direction I went home in.
Mm.
Like, and me and you have discussed this
Women do
because,
take a greater risk in
I
the
mean, we
dating
haven't
world.
been get together for 5 years yet. We're close, but I mean, I guess you could turn out to be some crazy
No.
person. But as of right now, like, you're a very wonderful man, and I think when I talk about these topics that affect women, single women, women that are dating, women in relationships where the man is taking advantage or isn't forthcoming about themselves.
You probably know me better in ways than I do.
Well, and you say, I can see why when I talk about that, you might get in your head that, like, I'm talking about you. And that isn't the case. Like, if you're a dude that doesn't have these tendencies, I think your thought process is that you're the norm. When
Yeah.
unfortunately, that is the furthest thing from the truth. That's why I was in my 30s before I met you and got married. From the most innocuous, innocent fuckery to the most heinous of things, like this story, it is very difficult to date straight men, and unfortunately, a lot of it is very creepy, coercive, manipulative, sexually violent, or motivated, just undercurrent of every interaction with people, of the opposite gender, if you're
Hmm.
trying to date straight men, it does come. So when you meet a man that genuinely is like, you don't owe me shit, like, let's chat, let's hang out, and if, you know, you say no at any point, I respect that. If you're not feeling it, I respect that. I can, in the case of you, fly to another country
Hmm.
and not expect anything out of you, and you say no, I'll be fine with that. That is extremely rare, and I keep emphasizing that because, again, you think you're the norm. You think most dudes act like you. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, you haven't dated most dudes, so that unfortunately I can't emphasize how much that's not the case.
So like when I hear stories about guys that open with, dick pics or really gross sexual content as their opening line on a dating profile or in a girl's Facebook messages, I'm just a little bit in disbelief. Well, it looks like in some of the comments there were people that were trying to get her to divulge her location, not for any creepy reasons, but
Oh,
because they want to find this guy.
ew. Or warn other people about him.
Yeah, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I don't want to disclose any personal information," which is
Totally
totally
understandable.
understandable. Yeah.
Milady, like, come on,
Yeah.
Reddit users. Sometimes you gotta quit your shit while you're ahead.
People who don't want kids.
That's
Why?
us.
This was posted to Ask Reddit 2 months ago. Top comment: my mental illness, time, and money. Because I'd be a fucking horrible parent and no kid deserves that. I can barely take care of myself some days. Besides, my husband and I are very happy with our life without introducing the stress of kids into the mix. I do not like kids. I'm a pretty good babysitter, but I prefer not to be responsible for them at the end of the day. For me, you have no way of knowing that your child isn't going to grow up to be a man who's turned on by gore. So,
Yeah.
why take that? Why roll those dice?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm very happy. I'm not happy with everything that happened with the birth of my niece and nephews, but I do often say I'm very happy my sister didn't lose her mind. She's not
Hmm.
one of those parents that sees like absolutely no fault in her children. And me and her have discussed, like, hey, like, if we start to see the serial killer
Tendencies. If he starts
tendencies,
hurting
yeah,
animals.
like, that's not like, I truly believe, and people think this is bizarre, but there should not be anything as unconditional love. Um, I think for
That
love
it's
to be
unhealthy.
yeah, for love to be completely unconditional, it cannot be healthy. You have to have conditions on the way that you're treated, the way that you're
Hmm.
respected or showed up for, or any of those things. And of course, as a parent, the threshold for what you're going to consider unacceptable should be quite low. It shouldn't have to do with your children's sexuality or gender identity. It shouldn't have to do with the way they choose to live their life, as long as they're not harming other people. Another throwback to that previous story.
Yeah.
You should not defend your child if they are killing animals, putting people in
Yeah,
danger. It,
like
like,
the way she mentioned that her family is making her out to be the bad, or
his
his
family.
family is making her out to be the bad guy. How can you defend your child in a circumstance like that? How can you even begin? You, you deny it. Like the family has to be,
In
like,
total
oh, he's
denial.
he's not doing that. No, you're lying.
Hmm.
You cheated on him or something, and now you're making this up to slander our beloved son,
Yeah.
who's a good boy.
Yeah. And I can understand why a family member would find it hard to believe that. And
Sure.
maybe they don't have they did not catch him in the act, so we got to give them a little bit of grace. They don't know for sure that he was doing
Yeah.
that. I think anybody that loves somebody would be skeptical if they heard something of that magnitude about them.
Sure.
But if, beyond a shadow of a doubt, your child
Is guilty
is
of
guilty
horrible
of
crimes.
horrible crimes, the way you hold people accountable is by removing yourself from the equation. They shouldn't be able to have
Hmm.
everything nice and comfortable for themselves. So,
The thing is that when you choose to have a child, you have to commit to that child, unless
mhm,
you are planning on being a deadbeat. But regardless of what comes out, that's your child. You
mhm,
created that. It could be it's a total roll of the dice. Yes, you're working a little bit with your genes and your partner's genes, and you can kind of hope for the best, but You don't know that they're going to be a well-adjusted member of society.
No, you can do your best, but at the end of the day, there are some things out of your control.
Yeah.
And there are other things that, again, people want to be in their control that aren't even harmful, but they take such a, like, it's an egregious sin in their mind if you are eating pineapple on pizza or some
Yeah.
stupid. But yeah, I don't think love should be unconditional. The conditions should be realistic,
Sure.
but it should not be unconditional. You trespass on certain topics, like we discussed, like infidelity. Anybody that considers that an instant deal breaker, I don't fault them at all. Like, there are people that want to do therapy and work through it. That's totally their choice. But like, if you killed our dog,
Yeah. And it wasn't an accident.
even if it was, like,
Yeah.
there's some things that sometimes you just can't get over. But yeah, if you maliciously
Yeah.
like killed our dog, hurt my niece or nephew, hurt a member of
Especially if it
anybody's
was to
family.
get back at you.
Yeah. I love the fact that you fight and you do MMA and you are one of the gentlest, sweetest man I've ever known. For you, it is truly a sport. You don't have any of that gross macho bravado around it. So, like, if I saw you just like become violent, put me in danger, put somebody else in danger, like that would be so out of character for what I know of you that it would shake what I know to be true of you. And honestly, I have a billion reasons why I don't want kids. Like, some of them are selfish, some of them are altruistic. I like it would be a 3 hour long video if I went through all of the
Yeah.
reasons. But one of them is that you never truly know your partner. You
Yeah,
You
you
can.
are binding yourself to that person that you choose
Forever.
to have child with forever in some capacity.
Well, and like I said, because I don't believe love should be unconditional, and unconditional love is not healthy love. If we had kids, or a kid, doesn't matter the amount, and one of us trespassed in a way that violates the relationship order, and we have to just be done with each other, you and me never have to speak again.
Yeah.
Because we don't have kids. If we did, my love has to now for my child now has to have the condition on it of that I have to at least try to co-parent with you.
Right.
And
Which
I
would be a
never,
nightmare if you had a child with somebody that you loathe.
yeah, and I just never ever was willing to put myself in a position where I have to be in contact with a person that I no longer want to be in contact with.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of them, a lot of
just to
these.
tie this hypothetical or this question with the previous story is just, yeah, there's just certain
Yeah.
things I don't ever want to be able to not cut ties with a person for.
That's a really good reason. This user said it's because they're poor, which is, kids are expensive.
Very.
Daycare can cost up to $2,000. Getting groceries for a family is a monthly endeavor. Baby formula, clothes, schooling, education. You have to commit to that child.
Again,
You
unless you're a
don't get
piece
to
of
have
shit.
bad days for yourself anymore. Your days have to be committed to this child. Another user said the simplest answer is that I lack the desire. No part of me wants a kid to raise a kid, etc., etc. And yeah, that's true for me. Like, I've just never really had a paternal instinct. I've never had the drive to the compulsion to reproduce. It's just whatever needs to be in there for me to want to have children just
I
isn't.
think you do have paternal instinct. It's just not there, like
It
you
doesn't
said.
drive me to reproduce.
Yeah, there's no drive there to pass on your genes.
Yeah, there's no compulsion for me. Like, if I do have a paternal instinct, it is satisfied with our little baby dog.
Sure. I
And
feel that maternal instinct for my friends, my niece and nephew, family members, you, our pets. I want to protect and feed and care for all of them. And I don't need to have birthed any of you to have that strong
sure,
feeling.
I have never been interested in getting pregnant or raising kids. Slash tocophobia, totally valid. Not wired that way. Love my independence too much. I just don't want to. My biggest reason is that I don't want to be a mom. I don't have any maternal instincts, and I think kids are annoying. Also, the whole pregnancy and childbirth thing is a literal horror movie. No thanks.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I don't have any parental urge. I'm 75 male and have never regretted my decision.
Love that for him.
Because never in my life have kids been something I hoped or wished for. Even as a child, when we played family, I felt so weird playing a mother. I not even was into baby dolls. It just never felt right for me to have a child. No interest. Have you ever been to Walmart? LOL. After a stressful day, I can't imagine anything worse than coming home to a screaming, crying, and completely dependent beings. Yeah, that's another thing for me is privacy. You don't get time to yourself. You don't get to by yourself. You have a goblin banging on the door, you know, asking you to help them with the tablet or just to hang out with you, which, like, I don't know. I mean, I love hanging out with you, but we also, you're not so far up my ass that I can't go to the bathroom for 5 minutes. And I hear those kinds of horror stories from mostly from mothers, more so from mothers than from fathers, about a kid that, won't let their parent go to the bathroom by themselves. And that sounds like
Yeah.
a nightmare. I've seen photos of mothers sitting on the toilet holding their child while another child plays on the bathroom floor because they just can't not be away from their mother for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's
Yeah.
a nightmare to me.
I feel like lots of child-free people, they have one, maybe two reasons they don't want children, and a lot of child-free people, it does start in childhood. And then as you grow older, the list just gets bigger.
Yeah.
It just get like when I was a kid, I didn't really like other kids. It was as simple as that.
I
And
was a little outspoken in my teens about, like, oh, babies are gross. But I don't think even in my teen years did I quite understand what that meant for me. If you had asked me at 16 if I was going to be a father someday, I probably would have said yes. I would have been open about the fact that I wasn't looking forward to it, that I'm looking to hold that off for as long as possible until I'm absolutely ready. But I also, as a teenager, I kind of just assumed that that was what happened to everybody, that you didn't really get a choice. It was just part of the formula. It was something that everybody did. You graduated high school, get a spouse, get a house, and squirt out a couple of kids. It was just everybody's destiny. And I wasn't looking forward to it, but I kind of figured it was just going to happen to me until at some point in my 20s, I realized that it didn't have to be that way.
I have been child-free since birth. And I used to be outspoken about it as a kid. I didn't have that terminology, but
Hmm.
my favorite joke as a child was always the only kids I'm going to have are goats, and I thought that was particularly like clever. But it it just from a very early age, I looked at animals and I saw babies.
Hmm.
That's where my, you know, every ounce of wanting them around me went into was animals. And there's lots of child-free people who don't want pets for the same reason people don't want babies, and I get it because people with children want to say your dog isn't your baby, and it's like, well, my dog is closer to being a human child than no children at all.
Yeah,
Because she has, needs that she has. All of our pets have needs that we need to try to fulfill to be good parents, and don't always succeed in providing
sure.
for them mental stimulus and time and energy. And you know it is very similar, so I understand why there's child free people that are also pet free. I don't you know
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
fault them for that.
Yeah, I can't fault them for that because I see the similarities. I call her our daughter
If
for a
the reason,
reason.
if your reason for being child free is such that, like, you don't want the the responsibility that comes with both pet care and child care,
Hmm.
then, like, I get that.
There are people in child free communities that I don't.
But
um
also, if you are a person that does have children but you don't want to have a pet, I don't understand you.
I am a person that, like, with other people in the child free community, I've learned that I don't understand. It's totally okay. That's okay that I don't understand them, because the problem is my reason for not having children has nothing to do with my inability or not wanting to have responsibility and obligations. I thrive with responsibility and obligations.
Hmm.
I was raised that way with certain, codes of ethics and things that you need to do and be to succeed at being a human adult. And I'm totally okay with responsibility, obligation, and all of that stuff that comes with having kids, but I'm just not willing to put those responsibility points into those children. I guess I'd much rather waste it on goofy dogs and maybe
Hmm.
traveling one day. And owning a house, that's a huge responsibility. There's
Yeah.
actually a lot of child-free people who don't want to own a house and the reasons they list are very similar to the reasons they don't want kids. The financial tie down
Yeah.
feeling, and without being able to at a drop of a hat just like leave and go somewhere. It all
Yeah, I
ties
get
into a
that.
certain mindset, and not all child-free people have the same mindset.
Another user said, in this economy, millennials are still healing their own inner child. Why bother getting another? Someone else said, I have no desire to continue my bloodline, and also because children are loud and expensive. Quote, they're noisy, they're messy, they're expensive, they smell. Dr. Alan Grant.
Yep, Jurassic Park,
Hmm.
child-free icon right there.
Maybe because I can't afford to rent a studio apartment even though I work full time. Could that be it?
Mm-hmm.
Another user said it's a gamble. Despite doing everything right, your life could be taken over by behavioral issues, insane medical bills, and or an economy that will grind you to dust to squeeze out your last drop of blood and leave you with nothing for you and yours. People talk all the time about parenting on social media, and we get to see that it's not all sunshine and rainbows like most media would have us believe. There's no guarantee of an amazing experience that will complete your life. You f***ed, it took root, and you now have a tiny human that you are responsible for, and sometimes that's all it is.
Yeah, and to take it away from a selfish place, I get like my experience is that life ain't that great. And I have a pretty good one. I have a good support system. I have a wonderful husband. I have a platonic life mate who I cherish greatly, who keeps me sane for the last 20 years. She's hauled me through life in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
Um, I have a job that I most days love. Um, I have it pretty good, and I still go, man. I wouldn't wish life on anyone. So, I like to jokingly say I love my hypothetical children too much to give them life, because
Yeah.
life is just kind of a slog with some nice little moments and pockets in it, and then we return to the nothingness. So you know what? Why not just stay in the nothingness? Why bother?
Another user just says gestures broadly. The state of society, things aren't getting better. I'm selfish. The sound of child crying makes me angry. I simply never wanted one. Multiple reasons, but the big one is I don't want the responsibility. Raising a human is an extremely big responsibility that requires a ton of sacrifice. Assuming that you want to be an actual good parent, I don't want that responsibility, especially because I don't know if I wouldn't half ass it. I would be, yeah, like I'm still a little bit fulfilling me and my life and my interests, and I don't want to put all that aside to, placate a little person.
Well, and again, the other thing is, I feel like child free people actually put way more thought into not having children than people do into
Yeah,
having them.
I agree. I think a
We
lot of times parents just, like I said, they fall into the formula and they decide to have a child, and then they realize what they've actually gotten themselves into once it's too late.
we're we're not a monolith just like any group of people, but I think on the whole a lot of us just understand the level of responsibility, and then also that it's not to be taken lightly.
I would birth an idiot, guaranteed.
And that children deserve to be brought up in families that are only good at rearing children. You're not having a baby. I like to call them larval stage adults. You're giving birth to a larval stage adult, and then you have to try to not mess them up for until they're able to take care of themselves and do the best job at that as you can.
Hmm.
And a lot of people just see a baby as an accessory. They see it as
Yeah.
a pet. They see it as a somebody that has to unconditionally love them, a retirement plan, and all of those things are completely unfair reasons to have sex with the intention of creating a life. Like that is just they deserve babies deserve better than that.
I think children are the future. That is why we need to stop them now while we can. Okay. What else do we got?
Enough of our child-free ranting. People are bored.
You get $20 million, but you have to walk around the earth. A genie offers you $20 million, but you have to walk around the earth to get it. You can take as long as you need, and you will not age physically at all, although time will still pass. You are provided by the genie as much food, water, and shelter as you need for the trip, and you will not have to finance any of it out of pocket. You don't have to carry any of this. There are unlimited places to stop, rest, and eat. You also must walk around the Earth at a reasonable trajectory, as in no more than 2,500 miles from the equator. You will not be critically injured during your trip. You won't be injured or killed by any animals or hostile people or detained by any governments. You will still feel tired as usual. You're allowed to walk around difficult terrain, such as mountain ranges. If the genie determines that the terrain is too bad, a path will be cut through for you. When you reach an ocean, there will magically be a bridge to cross it. You must walk the entirety of your journey. You are not allowed to complete any part of the trip in a car, train, boat, plane, or any transportation method. If you use a car for anything, you must return to the place where you were before you entered the car to continue your journey. Once you finish the journey, you are awarded $20 million, tax-free, and adjusted for any inflation. Time will have passed, but you would not have aged physically at all. Do you take the deal, and if so, how would you do it? Would you do it, dear? It's going to take a long time.
I'm not aging, but you will. Baby dog
Yeah,
will. My family will.
yeah.
Um,
It'd be nice if you could like take time off, like if you could, get to a point and then, mark your point on a map and then go home for a couple of months and then go back to that point and continue the journey.
I mean, it kind of sounds like you can. It just says if you take a vehicle, you have to return.
Yeah,
None of
but
that travel
there's no
counts.
like magic travel or anything
Yeah.
indicated in this thread. I think I would do it. I would miss you. I would miss you a lot.
I would die before you were done,
You think
probably.
so?
Sure. It doesn't say I would. I don't get to not age.
Uh,
Just you
how
don't get
how
to
long would
age.
it take? Maybe I'm overestimating. How far? Let's say you walk. Well, how many miles? How many miles is the equator? 2,400 or 24,901 miles around the equator. So let's say you walk. What's a believable pace for a day?
If all you're doing is that and
If
eating, I
all
don't
you're
know,
doing is
10 to
yeah.
20,000 steps
Let's say 5 miles a day. Let's say you walk 5 miles a day, 4,980 days.
divided by
4,000.
365.
That's 13 years.
Well, I'll be dead by then.
You won't be dead in 13 years.
I'll be 50.
I'll
Yeah.
still love you. I would still love you.
Great. I guess you can buy me lots of plastic surgery. No, and also you don't get the
I guess,
money until it's done.
yeah,
So
I
I have
guess
to
in
try
a
and hold
vacuum.
down a fort. I have to
Yeah,
try to hold down the fort on my income by myself for 13 years without you, while you
yeah,
try to make us $12 million or whatever it is.
20 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess in a vacuum I would do it if I only had myself to worry about. But
Sure.
yeah, I guess I didn't think about how long that would take.
And it's different if you get the payout up front.
Yeah,
Then I can just,
then I could, yeah, float you some cash.
yeah. You mean I could float you some cash?
Yeah. If somebody offered you $2 million to
Mm-hmm.
disappear for 30 days, would you do it? But you can't tell anyone about it.
Yeah, I would do it, but
You would feel bad.
I feel like the person that I'd have to worry about the most is you. And then maybe like I don't think Janny would think
People would start thinking that I killed you.
100%. You might be in jail when I get back, but I'll absolve you.
Unless I had like some, yeah, you know, rock solid
Are
alibi or
people trying to
something.
find me, or I just have to like pick a spot, go there, and hang out for 30 days?
There's no real description to this one. It's
Okay.
just if someone offered you 20 million or 2 million to disappear for 30 days, you can't tell anybody.
Yeah, I
It would
think
be
so.
hard. I'd feel bad doing that to my mom. And
Yeah,
you, of course. But like, just thinking about the effect that would leave on my life if I were to do that.
for sure. It would be a bad time. But I feel like enough could be rectified with the
With
loved
$2 million.
ones. Yeah. They'd understand. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, good job."
Yeah. Okay.
If you left me for 30 days, it would be like there would be some emotional trauma that I went through where I couldn't
You
find
would
you.
probably think that I left you.
No, I
I
would
pulled it.
100% would. You got to bleep his name.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
yes, that's exactly what I would think. I would think that after like 6 hours, if you were gone for a month, I'd be
Yeah.
like,
Can't even leave a note.
yeah, asshole. Didn't even leave a note. That's even worse than the last one.
Okay. I got another story for you.
All right.
My girlfriend took a kink too far.
Oh no.
Would I be an asshole if I broke up with her?
Oh boy.
My 18 male girlfriend, 23 female, not a huge age gap, um, has always talked about how she had a quote breeding kink. We both had no STDs, and she told me she was on birth control, so I agreed to do it without a condom.
I'm getting nervous.
However, it turns out that she lied to me about the pill and
Yeah.
is now pregnant, and she insists on keeping it. I'm only 18 and I don't want a child. I have a couple months left at high school, but I want to go to university after. I can't do that and look after a freaking child. I feel inclined to look after it, seeing that it is half mine, but I don't want to give up on my dreams for it. What should I do? She has already finished uni and has a stable teaching job. We've been together for just over a year now, and I really enjoy being with her, but I don't want to sacrifice everything, especially if she's willing to violate my trust like that. What else is she willing to do? Edit, I am in New Zealand, and 16 is the age of consent. The age gap is legal. Edit 2, I have broken up with her. It feels strange to be alone now, but honestly, it's kind of freeing. I told her we're getting a paternity test as soon as we can, and that I think that what she did is unacceptable. I'll miss a lot of our relationship, but it is quite nice to just go out with my friends without her asking if any of them are girls all of the time. I told her I will not take legal action and attempt to charge her with assault if she lets me go free without too much responsibility for the child, and she did end up agreeing to that. I told her I would be happy to look after it outside of uni time, but that I would not like to pay for it while I do not have a job. We had a serious conversation about all of this before I left, and, well, it went better than I expected. That is, without a doubt, like my absolute nightmare.
Um. Yeah. Yeah, that is assault. I mean, I think you kind of jumped into that update way faster than. Again, you do that very often. The the part before that, what I was going to say is that's sexual assault, and he should charge her for it
Yeah.
because tampering with birth control, where a person is consenting to have sex under certain circumstances but not others, and you knowingly are baby trapping them, is assault.
Yeah. That post was this user's first post on Reddit. Um, and a lot of his posts since are just, is it gay to kiss the homies? Um, and then another one, I think I might be kind of gay. And then another one, this is awkward, but has anyone else been straight their whole life and then you just randomly like a dude?
Mm?
So I think this guy's going through some things.
He's probably bisexual and
Yeah,
just. I think with a lot of men, they think it's one way or the other, but it's like you
yeah.
can be bisexual. That's
It's a spectrum.
totally valid to be bisexual. To be. You're obviously not straight if you want to be with men, and that is totally okay.
She lied about being on birth control to get your consent. The equivalent would be if a man took off a condom in the middle of sex after his partner consented with the condom. I'm sorry this is happening, but she really is a bad person.
Mm hmm.
Yeah, she is.
100%.
Ugh, gross. That is my greatest nightmare.
Mm hmm.
Well, let's do one more. So I took this one from the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. If you're interested in these kinds of Reddit stories on YouTube, her channel is way bigger than mine, but this story stuck out to me. My sister, with Alzheimer's, is giving birth, and the family is pushing it on me. Throwaway account because I need to get this off my chest. I'm furious and overwhelmed. My sister was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 40. At first, she thought it was early perimenopause brain fog, but after a bunch of tests, the doctors confirmed it was Alzheimer's. She's already had 2 kids, 12 female and 6 male, and had divorced a year before. The divorce was ugly at first, but she and her ex eventually figured things out and became great co parents. Because of the diagnosis, she's had to quit her job, so she's living on alimony and child support. Then she met a new boyfriend. 6 months later, he moved in with her and the kids. We all said it was too fast, but she insisted that he was the one. 4 months after he moved in, she got pregnant. Everyone begged her to not continue the pregnancy, including me. I told her straight up, who is going to take care of this baby when your illness gets worse? She insisted her boyfriend was excited and would step up, that her kids were thrilled, and that the baby gave her hope. Now she called me on Friday, sobbing because she caught him cheating and he left. Just walked out. She asked her ex husband if he would take care of the baby in the future when she's no longer able, and he said he can't because he already has to take care of 2 of their kids. Now she's about to give birth and is scrambling for a backup plan within the family. Worst part is everyone is suddenly looking at me. My husband and I are child free by choice, and people keep hinting that we should step up. I'm mad at her for ignoring every warning. I'm mad at her boyfriend for bailing. Her kids, who she claimed were thrilled, are angry because they know this baby will become their responsibility. And I'm angry that people think I should fix this. I love my sister, but I'm exhausted and resentful, and I hate that I was right about all of this. I don't know if the kids are really, I mean, maybe the older child, the 12-year-old girl is old enough to really understand what's going on and what's going to happen with this third child. But the 6-year-old boy is just, I mean, he's barely a person yet. I don't really think he has a whole lot of
Mm-hmm.
skin in the game. But yeah, I mean, top comment is if no one in the family can step up, including you and your spouse, and there's no shame in that, then your sister needs to look into adoption or what resources are available to her in her situation. You are under no obligation to care for your sister's child because she made a very foolish decision. You have every right to be angry and resentful, but what is going to happen if this happens for a second time or a third time? You don't deserve to be forced into parenthood, and her other kids don't need to be parentified. If no one is going to do it, call social services. Your sister is vulnerable. OP replied to that. She refused to even think about adoption because she wants the baby to stay within the family. I can help her out, but I really don't want to raise the baby. Me and you talked a little bit about what would happen if, you know, horrible accident, your sister, your stepbrother, his parents, your parents, something awful happens,
You
and
you mean my brother-in-law, not my stepbrother?
yeah,
Gross.
yeah,
My
no,
sister did
yeah,
not marry her
right.
stepbrother.
Your brother-in-law, your sister, and everyone surrounding your niece and nephew, except for us, befalls some horrible fate, and you and I are the only 2 left standing who could care for your niece and nephew. I wouldn't be thrilled about it. It would be, very much not in line with what I had in mind for the rest of my life, but I don't want them to just get thrown out on the street and we could take them in.
I mean, we discussed it in even a
The
like
same thing happened to my nephew and my sister and my parents all died the same day or something. I would want to take in my nephew.
again, you're making it out to be like when we had this discussion, both of our criteria were far lower than you're making it out to be now. If for some reason, like my sister and her spouse weren't here anymore, my parents would probably take them in. But
Sure.
if that's not an option, I'm not sending them off to his family, uprooting them from everything they do know,
Yeah.
everywhere they know. The school and the friends that they're developing, like, I'm not shipping them to BC to be with the in law's grandparents. So it's not that everybody in their life has to die for me to take them. It's not that extreme. If their parents are not around and my parents for some reason couldn't step up, unfortunately I have to. Remember how we talked about responsibilities and obligations and how I feel about them?
Yeah.
Well, that applies to this too. They're not at fault, and you shouldn't force kids to go through, like, oh my goodness, they have to go through 1,000 changes now because of something that is already a crazy change that they have to go through. Enough mourning is already happening to have to put them through that more. Plus, that's the only part of my sibling that would still be around. So
Yeah.
that's, and the same goes for your nephew. I don't expect everybody in your family to have to perish to be like, well, I guess twist our child-free arms. I guess we'll take him in. It's like, no, he's family.
Yeah.
And that's just what you need to do sometimes. So there's certain things that do supersede what you want in life. You and me have taken precautions that neither one of us will be the accidental reason we end up with children. And but taking in a child that's lost its parents is not the same as that.
Yeah. But
But
I don't
this
know.
was just
I'm mad
wholly
at this woman.
no. But this outside of that, this is wholly irresponsible.
Yeah.
This baby
You
should
know
have.
Alzheimer's is coming, and there's a lot of grief around that, I'm sure. Knowing that you're going to slowly lose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But then, take the precautions. Start preparing. You have the benefit that a lot of people don't. That you know something like that is coming. You can prepare for it as best as you can. Prepare for something like that, and preparing for something like that does not involve producing a child in your 40s. That is so exceptionally irresponsible.
It was completely selfish. She said it herself. This baby gives me hope.
Yeah.
But what did you give the baby? You're not
Yeah,
giving the
you're giving
baby
this
hope.
baby a crappy life.
You're giving this baby,
They're not going to know their parent.
well, and even outside of that, this baby is being shackled to like being the reason that you're okay. And that's not okay. Like babies shouldn't be born to be your reason to keep going.
Yeah, and that I see that a lot in comment sections on Facebook that my baby saved my life. I'm like, why are you, even though you might not tell your child that, you might not directly put that responsibility on them, you're still putting that responsibility on them by saying that, like, I was mentally ill or whatever and I was going to kill myself before I had a child and now I'm here. And you shouldn't need to have a child for that. You should.
Don't have children, get therapy.
Yeah.
That is where you should
A
be
baby is
first.
not therapy, and there are too many children that are born into circumstances like that, and it just creates a new cycle of trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, and codependency, and I had this baby because it will have to love me. It'll never leave me. And it's like, luckily you'll have late stage Alzheimer's and
Yeah.
you won't realize that your kid doesn't come see you because you handed them a life where nobody wanted to bring them in. They're going to feel completely unwanted by every single person.
Yeah.
And their siblings also at this particular age are saying that they see this kid as a burden, knowing that they'll have to take care of it. And they're really young. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's just completely selfish. People think abortion is this horrible thing, but a lot of times
Abortion
it
would
is
have
the
solved
kindest.
this. It's a
Abortion is
kindness.
the kindness, the kindest option you can
Yeah.
take a lot of the time.
Well, those were
All really
those
heavy.
were some stories.
None of them
Yeah.
were fun and lighthearted.
Yeah. I'm
That was
sorry.
horrible. I feel like you started with the worst possible one. It was hard to come back from it.
Oh yeah, I guess I kind of thought, like, I'll start with something heavy and then we'll have some, cheery conversations about why we don't want to have children, or, what would we do with $2 billion, and it would be good again. But yeah, that first story was a doozy.
Yeah. And your trigger warning, I don't even think it contained animal abuse because you
No,
didn't
it
know.
didn't. I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah, I didn't know. I think we were both blindsided. You're like, you read that part and we're like, oh no.
I'm like, do I want to keep reading?
Yeah, maybe we should cut it off
that's
early.
rough.
Oh shoot. Well,
Yeah.
I hope anybody that watches this isn't too bummed out. That's okay. We'll be bummed out enough for
I
everybody.
hope anybody listening to this decides to wear a condom.
Oh God. Adopt a senior kitty. They
Yeah,
need it.
adopt a senior cat. Well, thank you, Beeb.
Well, I'd say thank you, but again, it was a bummer. So
Yeah, well, until next time.
until next time.
Bye now.